Hey there, Starshines. Tangent Spinner here, spinner of tangents and rants and random. I am back with more Let's Read. We're on chapter 5 of WebMage. Again, sorry if it goes out of sync. I'm trying to do my best. But, you know, shit happens. This is a longer chapter, so it is definitely going to be broken into parts. It might even have to have 3 parts. We'll just have to find out. So, last time, Ravern and Cersei were in the underground house with Alan, the vegetarian troll healer, where Cersei informed Ravern that his knee needed surgery to put it back together because he'd broken it into teeny tiny little pieces, and she had no clue where they went. And he told her he couldn't do that, she'd have to fix it. And she said, oh, hold on right here. She told him that, sure, she could fix it, but she's not taking any kind of responsibility if he has to walk with a limp for the rest of his life. And then they got down, and I don't know if they, if that's what they're doing, if they're going to start doing the surgeries right now or what, but we're on chapter 5. Sorry, guys. Oh, that coffee and shit wore off fast. Let's get down to it. Alright. After 5 straight days of bed rest, I was starting to crack. Few things in life are as frustrating as being told you have to lie still and take it easy when you are feeling better. I can't say I felt good, more like I'd been run over by a small car, but that was so much better than I'd felt when I arrived. It seemed I should have been out running marathons. Instead, I was spending my time staring at the ceiling of Alan's guest room. That was another thing I wasn't too happy about. If I had to be in a hospital, I'd prefer it were an expensive private one with all the amenities. Sorry, guys. The anemone. Including attractive young women with white uniforms who will wipe my brow when I buzz for them. But instead of electric lights and adjustable beds, I had an oil lamp and a battered futon. Worse, when I needed something, I rang a bell that summoned a sweet but aesthetically challenged troll matron to my bedside. Alan wasn't about to let me get up, either. Cersei had subverted her somehow, and nothing I did or said by way of bribery or cajoling had any effect on my treatment. That only left threats, and you simply don't threaten trolls, vegetarian or not. My encounter with the cousins and its aftermath had suggested a couple of spells to me. So I'd spend some time jacked in and coding, but once that was finished, there wasn't much to do besides computer games, and there's only so much video poker you can play. This is particularly true if your laptop makes snide remarks when you lose a hand. I suspected him of cheating, but I had no way to prove it. Sorry guys. Oh my god, I'm tired. Such was my state of mind when a column of blue light appeared beside my bed. This time, Cersei had skipped the armor. She wore a pale red blouse and a deeper red skirt and a braided gold belt. Her hair fell loose in loose waves to her waist. Shara stood beside her in goblin form. So apparently Cersei is a Gryffindor. Fuck that shit, Hufflepuff for life. Boom, bumblebee badgers. Anyways, I ignored them. Cersei was the one who'd put me in Alan's care, and besides, I had a card game to finish, one I was winning for a change. Suddenly, my game was replaced with an error message. The application Holden has unexpectedly quit. Please save and close all applications and return your computer to its web-goblin shape. A high, evil chuckle sounded in my ear. Shara had climbed up next to my pillow. I resisted an urge to stick my tongue out at her. She'd probably have bitten it. Web-goblins have a low and petty sense of humor. I've never seen an error message quite like that one, Cersei said, leaning over me. Cross as I was, I couldn't resist the opportunity to draw in a lungful of her lilac perfume. Gross. I suspect your sidekick has one-upped his boss. Well, I replied, he can suffer for it then. I'm going to leave him in laptop shape and see how he likes that. My, aren't we snippy this morning? Asked Cersei, plopping herself down on the bed. Maybe I shouldn't spring you from this joint. My pointed ears perked forward at that. The chance to escape from my convalescent prison sounded like a ticket to the Elysian fields. I sighed and typed the command to change Melchior back into his goblin shape. He and Shara headed off to do goblin things, and Cersei smiled at me and rang the bell. Alan appeared at once, and, after Cersei gave the word, allowed me to pull on a loose green tunic and shorts. Then the troll carried me out into the sunshine, setting me down on a nearby hill as gently as a mother dog putting her puppy into the den. For obvious reasons, we didn't want to be too close to the fairy ring. That's how quaint folk tales and other nasty accidents happen. The crown of the hill wore a wreath of bent crab apples, one of which provided me with a backrest as I surveyed the landscape. Circe joined me there, and for a long time we didn't move, sitting shoulder to shoulder in the incompanionable silence. Odd sort of landscape, said Circe finally. The trees were all low and twisted into fantastic shapes, the dominant ground covered with creeping Charlie. Odd bits of trash were scattered everywhere, punctuated by the occasional enormous dump pile. No matter which way the wind blew, it carried a faint flavor of decaying vegetation. Yet there was a strange beauty to it all. Wild grape and other creepers were waging war on the junk, winning and winning. Near us, a colony of morning glories had converted a rusted-out Chevy Malibu into a floral topiary and a crazy quilt of emerald and pink. Still, there's something appealing to it, I said after a few moments. Circe nodded and squeezed my hand. It must be the glamour of fairy. The air here is saturated with raw magic. Is it, my lady? I asked. I'd been outside long enough for my disposition to mellow, and my court manners were returning. I hadn't realized it was in the air. I thought the magic arose from the proximity of your most lovely person. My goodness, Raven the Prince has returned at last. I'd begun to believe that the reason for our gracious and charming hostess was taking such good care of you was that you bore a resemblance to her long-lost offspring. I have been a bit of a troll these days, haven't I? I replied softly. Resolving to make amends, I rolled up onto my good knee, extending my bad leg behind me, and faced Circe. I must beg your forgiveness and indulgence for my behavior. My only excuse is extreme pain, compounded by a dose of awareness that eternal youth does not immortality make. A frown chased itself across her delicate features. You did make it down to the very banks of the Styx, didn't you? Figuratively speaking, of course. I nodded. I came so close I could almost have lent Morik the coins to pay the ferryman and waved him on his way. I shuddered. I didn't like Morik, and I had far rather it be him than me, but I wished our encounter could have ended in some other fashion. Were it not for you, my lady, I might even now be wandering that far shore. I owe you everything, Circe. I am at your service for whatever you might ask. I think that I shall begin with this. She leaned forward and placed her soft lips against mine. Of course. Sorry. Of course they have to kiss. And of course it has to be over this thing. And of course they have to use an excuse to make out. Oh my gosh. Sorry, just some things used as an excuse to start a relationship or have sex or anything like that just triggered. Irritation. Immediately. Just immediately severe eye roll and oh, of course, now they're gonna get together and everything. And I even knew it was coming because I've read this book before, so it's just like, and I know how it ends. And it's just, yeah, no, spoiler alert, they don't stay happily ever after. Because their entire relationship is based off of physical attraction, and that's it. Sorry, guys. That doesn't work for a majority of the people in the real world. That's how life works. The first contact was like white fire, and it burned all the way to my toes. I couldn't say how long we sat like that, nothing touching but our lips. In retrospect, the kiss seems fleeting, but at the time, it was my whole world. Some eternal moment later, I felt her lips open under mine, and her arms reach around my neck. I'm sure my hands were similarly engaged, but the memory is gone. We shifted, trying to get closer without letting our lips part. It was wonderful, but it meant a good deal of twisting about, and my injured knee hit a root. I shrieked and curled into a ball. What happened? She asked. Kiss! Wow! Knee! Root! Bad! I lay on my side, facing away from her, my hands clutching my injury. How articulate! I told you it wouldn't heal well if I did all the work. Let me look at it. She leaned into my field of view, and I saw that her blouse had somehow become partially unbuttoned, exposing an ivory breast tipped with the palest pink flower of a nipple. I lost interest in my knee. I'm gonna pause real quick and make it a different video. So 3, 2, 1. And we're back. Gentlemen and ladies, lesbians, whoever out there, bisexuals, lesbians, whoever is interested in you, do not compare flowers and nipples. Nipples are a color. You don't have to compare them to a nipple. A nipple to a flower. We do not have flower titties. Boobs are bags of fat with mammary glands in them, which means we produce milk for babies. I'm asexual, so I honestly don't get any of this, but I don't understand how people think that's sexy. But what's even more unsexy is comparing body parts to plants because you don't know the color you want to use. She had pink nipples and pale titties. That's what she has. Not gentle rose-flowered nipples upon an ivory hill of flesh. Who talks like that? Who? If he said that kind of shit out loud, it would have immediately been you are way too high for this, okay? You can't even properly, no. Alright, we're continuing. Flower nipple, got it. After a few seconds, so did Cersei. And I have only fragmentary impressions of what happened next, brief but incredibly vivid snapshots. Sliding my hands along her ribs to cup her breasts, tearing the button off her skirt when I couldn't figure out how to get it unfastened. You don't know how to put a button through a hole. God. Feeling her teeth playfully nipping at the hollow of my thigh. An incredible burst of lilac as I buried my face in the triangle at the base of her belly. Well, at least he does oral, that's nice. Kisses that came as suddenly and surprisingly as summer lightning on a dark night. Cersei's face twisted to a mask of wild emotion. The sun lighting her hair like a white waterfall as she moved atop me. A climax that started somewhere around the base of my skull and shot down my spine, arching me like a bow. When it was over, Cersei laid her length on me. That sounds like she has a penis. That is such a bad... I don't know the length of her body against me. That's what I would have said. Not her length on me. Oh my god, it sounds like she has a penis. Still clutching me tightly with her inner muscles. She was as tall as I, and her hair cascaded down around our faces, enclosing us in a curtain of privacy. Her slit-pupiled eyes shone blue fire at me from a distance of inches, and the scent of lilacs filled my nostrils. I was content in a way I'd rarely been before. This was not my first time by any means, but it felt different somehow. I wasn't sure what to do or say about that, so I contented myself with silence and a careful study of Cersei's fine-boned features. "What are you thinking?" she asked after a while. I reached for words and found I was thinking that we skipped a step. Huh? She looked confused. Well, I think very highly of you. I like your personality, your looks, your style, your devious hacker brain, in short, everything about you. I felt that way for some years now and intended to ask you out on something of a formal date, and yet I've never gotten around to doing anything about it. Now we skipped the whole courting phase and leapt into bed. Her laugh was rich and mellow, the fresh apple juice after a day in the sun, like fresh apple juice after a day in the sun. How very sweet of you, Rayburn. Perhaps the courtier is the real you and the scrappy ruffian is the mask. I was just thinking that I should have done this ages ago, knocked you over and ravished you, that is. It's been on my list of things to do practically forever. Though I must admit I like the sound of courting as much as any woman. Well then, courting you shall have. I rather think we should make something more of this than a wild afternoon. That means doing things right. And doing things right means a proper beginning. Perhaps an elegant dinner with candlelight and china at a fine restaurant in Paris, followed by slow dancing and a moonlit walk along the Seine? How does that sound to you? I'll think about it. However, she laughed again, although this time with a wicked undertone. Since we're already in a compromising position, I intend to take shameless advantage of you. Her hand slid down to the place where we were connected and did highly dexterous things. My response was immediate, involuntary, and wholehearted. Shameless advantage, she'd said, and she was true to her word. several times. That's not how sex works, but I guess magic. So, I'm going to end this one here. Going a little too far, so I don't want to... I still got plenty to read, and it's actually a ... top of the chapter, fade to black type thing. So, they've had sex. That can't in any way, shape, or form go wrong. Anyways, Tangent's going to spin on out of here, but so look forward to part 2 of chapter 5. You guys know how YouTube works. Like, comment, subscribe, all that. I will see you guys in the next episode. And remember, you're all my sunshines. Goodbye.